Look guys, times are tough. Many of us want to shoot film as often as possible, but we're not in a hurry to return to that ramen noodle phase from college. Well, before you give up on film, or before you begin stuffing your face with MSG and cheap noodles, let me show you 5 ways that you can minimize the cost of film so much that you still may be able to retire by the time you're 70. The first way that you could save money shooting film is by not shooting the same cameras as everybody else. Don't shoot the promoted cameras. We all love to spend time on YouTube browsing the wonderful content created by the likes of Matt Day, Granny Days, Bad Flashes, all the guys, all the Willem Verbeek, all the people we love to watch. I mean, make no mistake, those guys have Leica M6s, Mamiya 7s, Hasselblad 500CMs, all the gang of cool cameras. And those guys are shooting them all the time on their channel. And as a blossoming young film photographer, it's very tempting to want to get on eBay immediately and buy yourself a copy of one of those fantastic cameras. The only trouble, those Leica M6s, $3,000. The Mamiya 7.2s, maybe more than that, and the Hasselblad 500CMs, forget about it. It's gonna be $2,000 at the least. And at this point, after Willem's videos, even the lowly RBs and RZs from Mamiya are expensive. What's an aspiring film photographer to do? Well, lucky for you, there are dozens of great, affordable film camera options out there for you to choose from. You don't have to go to those expensive options at the top. Like the Olympus Pen, for example. It is a half-frame camera, 72 shots per roll, but when you're new at film photography and you're just trying to get the reps in, the 72 frames per roll will be something that benefits you. Another really cool, affordable film camera, and this one's super compact as well, really easy to shoot, is the Rollei 35. If you're wanting to move to something a little more retro looking and a little more substantial, there's the SLR, the Olympus OM1. And there's the tried and true Pentax K1000 as well, along those same lines. And of course, you can't forget Nikon. The Nikon F3 is always a great, affordable choice. It's as simple as this. Don't shoot the cameras the other guys are shooting. When you're new at the hobby, it's just important to get a camera, something that you can afford, not gonna break the bank, something that's gonna leave you with enough money to be able to actually afford to buy film to go out and shoot and still take trips and do the fun things that you like to do. So don't spend all your money on a Leica. Don't spend all your money on a Hasselblad. Buy something cheap. This is a really fun one. And I just really discovered this one the other day. Another way that you can save money with film is by shooting Alibaba film stocks. There are lots of things the Chinese have given us. Paper, gunpowder, General Tso's chicken. But one of my favorite things that the Chinese have done is brought really cheap products to the United States. Welcome to the wild, wonderful world of AliExpress. If you haven't heard, it's a site on the World Wide Web. It's a little bit like Amazon, but kind of like a shady back alley grifter Amazon, where brands are humorous at best and copyright law is a mere suggestion. But the most important thing is they have really cheap products. It should come as no surprise at this point that there would eventually be folks that try to replicate the money-making process, the money-making machine, if you will, that is CineStill. What they've done isn't rocket science and it isn't hard to reverse engineer. Anybody with a little time and ingenuity could replicate what they've done. They're buying these rolls from Kodak, removing the rim jet, putting them in really cute boxes, and sending them on their way. And it should come as no surprise that dozens of folks on AliExpress are doing just that. So let's take a look at the page so we can get a look at some of these cool brands. Things start out pretty inoffensive at the top with the brands that you know and love, Fuji, Kodak, Ilford, those types of things. But as you scroll down the page, things start to get a little more spicy. Brands like My Heart, Vob, Hitchcock, and my favorite, Pular. And while it's easy to point and make fun of these Chinese films, they are effectively just what CineStill is, although it's hard to be sure whether or not they've removed that rimjet backing. But the thing that's most important for me and you is oftentimes these weird, funny branded films can be bought at much lower prices than CineStill. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I can't wait to get my hands on a roll of Pular. Pular, if you're out there watching, send me a roll. Be happy to review it. Anyway, seriously though, if you shoot a lot of film and you're buying this stuff pretty frequently, this might be a nice way for you to save some money. And another way that you can save money on film, and this is no mystery, this is getting back to what CineStill's doing to begin with, is hand loading your own rolls of film. People have been going through this tried and true process of rolling their own film for almost as long as film photography has existed. The steps are pretty simple. You gather up some canisters to put your film in, and these can be obtained from Amazon for about $1 or $2 a piece. You're gonna wanna buy a bulk loader, and I found found these on the internet for somewhere between $150 to $250. They're not hard to find. And then you're gonna wanna buy a roll of your favorite film stock. And most of the time, the popular film stocks are sold in rolls of 100 feet. And a little back of the napkin math tells me that that would get you 18 rolls of film. So when you're buying these bulk rolls of film, they range in price from anywhere between $125 and let's say $250. It's gonna be the brands that you associate with being a little lower priced. At the bottom, your Ilfords, and then at the top, it's gonna be those Kodak film stocks. Their Vision stuff is gonna be a little more expensive. So that's what it's gonna cost you to get a roll of that bulk film. So this is gonna work out to quite a significant savings once that you buy the film, load it into your canisters, and then you're out there shooting it. Kind of a best case scenario, these rolls of film that you've rolled yourself would be about half the cost that you would pay at somewhere like B&H or Adorama. And at the end of the day, if you're gonna be in this hobby long term, that's a really nice way to be able to save some money. Another way to save money, especially when you're starting film photography, is stick to the smaller formats. And we touched on this with the Olympus Pen earlier, the half-frame camera. Kodak also has a half-frame camera out that they just released, and this is one of those cheap, plastic, fantastic cameras, Kodak's new Ektar camera. The smaller the format, typically the cheaper the film is. When you're new at photography, it makes sense to stick to these smaller formats. So a half-frame camera would be probably the most efficient. You're just shooting a normal roll of 35mm film, but you're getting 72 exposures rather than 36. Shooting 35mm would be a little less efficient, and then on up from there. Medium and large format are gonna be a lot more money per shot. Now, it's really tempting when you get online to take a look at that medium format and large format image quality, and your mouth will just water. You just wanna buy those cameras and shoot the heck out of that stuff. But when you're brand new to film photography, you're out there, you're gonna be making a lot of mistakes, and again, you're just gonna wanna get the reps in. It's best to stick to smaller formats and not be tempted by the medium and large format options. And another way to save money with film, and especially if you're shooting lots and lots and lots of film, is developing the film yourself. These recipes aren't hard to find online. I've done quite a bit of developing on my own, especially if you're shooting a lot of black and white. The steps are super simple. It's usually 1 or 2 chemicals. It's not a big deal at all to be able to develop your own film. We like to think that it's a really complicated thing, but the chemicals can be readily obtained online. Specifically for color negative film, Cinestil makes a nice kit, but those chemicals can be obtained, they're not very expensive, and then you can develop lots and lots of rolls and be able to save some money. So developing your own film, that's another way that you can save money with film. So if you thought this video was helpful, or if you just thought I was kind of dumb but a little bit funny, here's another video that you can check out where I talk about 5 affordable medium format options. You can see there's kind of a trend here. 5 things here, 5 things there. See what I did there? But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.